in March 6, 1961 to be exact, Timothy Leary gave me psilocybin, and it changed my life. It changed my life in the sense that it undercut the models I had of who I thought I was. All the socialization and child development that had left me with a very strong somebodyness, it cut that out. And of course there was fear in losing that familiar identity. But there was always also wonder, because I touched a place in myself that was behind all my social roles. And it was a presence. Instead of being good or this or that or achiever or anything, I experienced a place in myself where I just say, I am. Not I am this or I am that, just I am. And there were other qualities of that experience. There was a feeling of familiarity to it. It was a feeling, even though I had not been in that space since probably childhood, before I developed my conceptual structures of mind, that place was extremely familiar to me. There was another quality to it, was that I experienced a quality of my heart that was incredibly compassionate. I looked at form as if I was standing behind the forms of the universe, and I looked out at the forms, and it was as if I saw the preciousness of all the forms, the incredible beauty of the stuff of life. It was like God's paintbrush at work. I looked at people and they were so beautiful. I looked at things and they were beautiful. I remember doing a book in the 60s with Sidney Cohen. He was the head of the government drug commission. He was the good guy and I was the bad guy. And we did a book together for New American Libraries called LSD. And we had photographs in it. And when we went to pick the photographs for the book, he picked all the photographs showing all these people on drugs kind of wiped out. And I picked all the ones showing people looking at flowers and roaming in the fields and stuff. And there was only one picture we agreed on. It was a picture of a guy lying on the floor looking at some spilled Coca-Cola. And he liked that because it showed that under drugs people got so trivial and their minds got so caught in nothing. And I liked it because this person was seeing that in everything there is everything. That in the spilled drop of Coca-Cola is the entire universe. And I saw just the holography of the universe. It's incredible. Well, a few hours later, all I had was the memory. I came down, and that began a journey. That experience imprinted so deeply in my mind because it showed me who I was that I hadn't known I was. And yet it was familiar, and it was my true self. And yet as the drug wore off and my ego structures reimposed themselves like a prison of my mind and came back to my familiar definition of myself, I felt trapped in it, and yet I couldn't push away the prison. I didn't know the mantra or the secret thing to do or what to do, and I came back into my Zumbak suit. And I think it preoccupied me because it felt like it was my true being. And I felt like I was gypped. I was gypping myself not to have access to that. So I did what many others of you did and other people did, was I tried every chemical possibility to try to stabilize that state. I mean, if you took this and then followed it with this, and you did it under these conditions with this person reading this book from the Tibetan, this, and you did it after fasting for so many days and standing on your left foot, it would work, see? And I still came down, and I kept coming down and coming down and coming down for about 7 years, through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of explorations. And then I went to India, and I met Maharaji, my guru. And I met a being who didn't come down. Now, in the course of that, I learned a lot of interesting things about coming down and getting high. And I think that this is familiar to many of you, but it's just a run-through of simple stuff, which was that what high means is free, and what free means is you don't stand anywhere. And you all remember my routine with the channels on the selector, where when you're on channel 1 and you look out at the reality of the universe, you see physical bodies, male, female, tall, thin, old, young, dark, light, etc. And then you flip the next flip and you see everybody as personalities: manic, depressive, hysteric, achiever, mother, truck driver, social roles, all that stuff: lawyer, achiever, eager person, responsible, irresponsible, laid back. You know, and everybody, most 99.9% of the world treats those two planes as real, as absolutely real. And when you say to somebody, "Who are you?" they answer in terms of, "I am a man," or "I am a woman," or "I am a happy person," or "I'm a mother," or they do something in terms of social role or physical body. Social, psychological, physical. Well, then if you shift to channel 3, there's only 12 of us. You're either in Aries, a Leo, or Sagittarius, and that gives you new power, and you suddenly see things you didn't see before, and it's a whole new ball game of reality. And then if you flip one more flip, and the refreshing thing about flipping to that astral plane is you suddenly see that the physical plane and the psychological plane were only relatively real. You thought they were so real, and suddenly, by going into the astral plane, you see that they were just more reality, but not the only thing, because you're now in a new one. And after years of being only in channel 1 and 2. Look how you suffer if you're only in channel 1 and 2, because the body dies, so you're going to be frightened, because you're going to die. But now go to channel 4. And now you look into the eyes of another person and you see another being just like you looking back at you. They're just packaged differently. They're packaged in a different body and a different personality and a different astrology, but behind it, there it is, another person just like you. What are you doing in there? How did you get into that one? Because you see a similar being, another, what the Christians call soul. You see another soul that has incarnated, taking a different trip, and as a result, because of the personality and the thought forms and the body, they're having a whole, and the parents and the economics, they're having a whole different set of world experiences. They're going through the same school, but they're under a curriculum that is entirely different than the curriculum you're under, because they're going in programmed differently. And when you meet another person behind their stuff, it's quite awesome when they recognize it and you recognize it, because you at the moment are freed from the dance. And it can happen anyway. You walk into a bank, to the bank teller, and you look into the eyes of the bank teller, and there, instead of a bank teller looking back at you, is a being who is being a bank teller. That's different. Are you with me? Is it too? And then if you flip the next one, you're looking into yourself, looking into yourself, looking into yourself. There's only one of it. That's the stuff of the universe. That's the tiniest unit of energy that pervades all things. It's the one. It's the Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. There's only one of it. And then if you flip it once more, it disappears. You disappear. The whole thing disappears. There's nothing to see. There's nobody to see it. And that's all. That's also the Shema. That's the void. That keeps the Buddhists happy. Now, you can use any one of those channels. See, you get, as you go up the ladder, each channel you get to gives you more power than you had the one before. Because if you're a soul, you are free of, and you're not identified with your body and your psychological stuff, or even your mythical stuff, your astrology. You're free. You're looking around and you're sort of at play with all that stuff. Relatively free. But you're still busy being a separate somebody, a soul. And the secret of the game, finally, as I understand it at this point in my development, is that there is nowhere to stand.